My wife spent the entire night on the phone with another man while I was sleeping. When I confronted her, she laughed it off. But what I discovered in her messages a few weeks later made my blood run cold. This is a story about trust, betrayal, and the lies we tell ourselves to keep our marriages alive. Stay into the end because the truth I uncovered will shock you. I'm 32 years old, and I've been with my wife since high school. We're talking 15 years together. We've been through everything, the good, the bad, and the absolutely terrible. We have kids together, a life together, a history that runs so deep it's almost impossible to separate my identity from hers. But last summer, something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew about our marriage.
It started when my wife reconnected with an old friend from school on social media. Let's call him Jake. He's 28, same age as my wife. They went to school together, and apparently they were catching up after years of no contact. At first, I didn't think much of it. People reconnect with old friends all the time, right? But the way it started immediately set off alarm bells in my head. One night, my wife told me she was going to be on a phone call for a while. No problem. I respect her privacy and her friendships. But here's the thing. It wasn't until after her hour-and-a-half conversation that she casually mentioned who she'd been talking to. Jake, an old male friend. I was surprised, but I didn't make a scene. I trusted her.
Later that same night, as I was getting ready for bed, she told me she was going to call him again to finish their conversation. I thought, okay, maybe another 30 minutes, an hour tops. I fell asleep. 3.5 hours later, I woke up in the middle of the night. My wife wasn't in bed. I got up to look for her and found her sitting outside in the dark, still on the phone with this guy. 3.5 hours in the middle of the night with another man. I was bothered. Anyone would be. She offered to come to bed when she saw me, but I was too upset. I told her to stay on the phone if that's what she wanted, and I went and slept in my car for the rest of the night. The next morning, I told her how upset I was about the whole situation. She apologized and said she just lost track of time. I wanted to believe her, so I did.
Over the next few days, they kept texting, constantly. One night, we're sitting on the couch watching TV together, and she gets a text from him. I happened to glance over at her phone screen, and what I saw made my stomach drop. She had saved his contact name as the brand name of some kitchen appliances, the same brand that sends her promotional messages. She was hiding him in plain sight. I pointed it out immediately. I said, "That looks incredibly suspicious." She laughed, actually laughed. She claimed it was just a joke between them. A joke? I wasn't buying it. But at this point, Jake lived on the other side of the country, so I told myself I was overreacting. I told her I trusted her and dropped the issue.
About a week later, we were having drinks one night, just relaxing, and she brought the whole thing up again. She insisted that I was still upset about it, which I was, but I'd been trying to let it go. Then she said something that really bothered me. She told me that both she and Jake thought my reaction to that first night was ridiculous. Ridiculous. That meant she'd been discussing our marriage problems with him, complaining about me to another man. I decided to message Jake directly. I wanted to clear the air, man to man. But before I could even finish typing, my wife told him I was about to message him. He responded by telling her to have me call him instead, so I did.
The phone call started friendly enough. He was super nice at first, telling me I had nothing to worry about, that they were just old friends catching up. I calmly explained that it was unsettling to find my wife on an hours-long phone call with another man in the middle of the night, and that hiding his contact name seemed sketchy. As I talked, his tone completely changed. He became less friendly, more defensive, almost hostile. We wrapped up the call and I went inside. That's when I noticed my wife had gone outside for a quick break. 20 minutes went by. I got up to check on her and found her sitting in the dark, staring at her phone screen. I asked what she was doing. She said she was trying to start a video chat with Jake because he'd asked her to. A video chat, in the middle of the night, after I just had an uncomfortable conversation with this guy.
I'm not proud of what I did next. I snatched her phone out of her hands and threw it into our swimming pool. I know, it was wrong, it was childish, it was destructive. But in that moment, I felt like I was losing control of my marriage, and I didn't know what else to do. The next day, I felt terrible about it. I convinced myself I'd overreacted, that I was being a jealous psycho. So over the next few months, I just stayed out of it. I let them continue talking.
I tried to focus on our relationship, but things kept getting worse. My wife started picking more and more arguments over nothing. Our marriage was deteriorating right in front of my eyes.
Now, I need to give you some context about our history because it matters. My wife and I, we've both made mistakes. In the early years of our relationship, there was unfaithfulness on both sides. After we had kids, things got better. We had some really great years together. But 3 years ago, she found evidence of one of my past mistakes on an old memory card. I'd had a one-night encounter while traveling for work, and I'd never told her about it. When she confronted me, I confessed everything. Since then, our relationship has been strained. I've been working daily to regain her trust, but it feels like I can never do anything right. So when Jake moved back to our hometown and invited my wife over to hang out at his place, I felt trapped. If I said no, I was controlling and jealous. If I said yes, I had to live with the anxiety. I chose to trust her. I let her go.
He picked her up around 9 p.m. Midnight came around and I called her. She told me Jake had fallen asleep watching TV and she couldn't wake him up. I offered to wake our kids and come pick her up. She argued that wouldn't be fair to them at that hour. I tried calling his phone multiple times to wake him. Nothing. So she decided to just stay the night at another man's house. I didn't argue. I didn't complain. I accepted it because I was so desperate to not be seen as the jealous husband. A few days later, we had another argument, and she decided we needed time apart. She went to stay with her mother. I asked her for one thing during our separation. Just one thing. Please don't see Jake so we can focus on fixing our marriage. She reluctantly agreed.
A week into the separation, something felt off. I asked if she was still talking to him. She said yes, but not much. I did something I'm not proud of. While she was at the house grabbing some things, I looked through her phone. What I saw made me physically shake. I felt sick to my stomach. The messages started the night she went to his house. She texted him asking if he wanted company. He said yes. She said she was free and just needed a ride. He'd been drinking, but came anyway. The next day, she texted him saying everything was cool and that they were now comfortable with sleepovers. Sleepovers. 5 days later, after our separation had begun, she texted him late at night asking if she could call. He said not right then because he was busy taking care of some personal business, if you know what I mean, and he literally told her he was trying to handle himself in that moment. She didn't seem bothered by it.
The next day, she asked what he was up to. He said he was bored and had pulled something in his back from working out. He said he needed a massage. The following day, he messaged her in the morning. They had some small talk, and then he asked if he could be honest about something inappropriate. She told him to go for it. He said, and I quote, he wanted a certain type of physical relief from her. He described it explicitly. She responded by asking if he was driving that day. He asked why. She said she didn't know, asked if he planned on handling it himself. They went back and forth with this conversation. She later apologized for being awkward, blamed it on not having coffee yet, and kept trying to reach out to him for the rest of the day. After seeing all this, I stewed on it for a full day. Then I called Jake directly and asked him what was going on. He said nothing physical had happened between them, but that my wife was giving off clear signals that she was interested in him. He apologized for the crude messages and said he wouldn't have said those things if he'd known we were trying to work on our marriage. Then he told me he was going to cut all contact with her and block her on everything. And he did. I eventually told my wife I'd seen their conversation. I told her that at minimum she'd intended to pursue something with him. She admitted it looked bad, but insisted there were parts I was missing that would explain everything and put her comments into context. The explanation she gave felt like a massive stretch, but I couldn't prove or disprove anything. So I gave up. We managed to work things out enough that she moved back in. We're still together, but I find myself constantly dwelling on what I don't know. But doubt eats at me every single day. Honestly, I could forgive her if she just told me the truth about what really happened. I'm no saint. I've made plenty of mistakes in our relationship too, but it's the not knowing that's killing me. I know a lot of people would tell me to just leave, to get a lawyer and divorce her. But after 15 years together, after kids, after building a whole life, it's not that simple. Part of me wonders if I'm missing something, if there's an explanation that makes this all make sense. Part of me wonders if I'm just a fool who's too afraid to face reality. So here I am, Still married, still wondering, still trying to trust someone who may have betrayed me in the worst possible way. And the worst part? I don't even know if I want to find out the truth anymore, because I'm terrified of what it might be.
If this story hit close to home for you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to trust someone, but the evidence was screaming at you not to? I'd love to hear your perspective. We share real relationship stories like this every single week. Stories about trust, betrayal, forgiveness, and everything in between. If you want more content like this, visit our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Remember, relationships are complicated. There's rarely a clear right or wrong answer. Sometimes we just have to live with the uncertainty and make the best decisions we can with the information we have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.